All right, let's get into it. So, cast your mind back to high school for a second. Remember tests?
Oh, yeah. Pop quizzes, midterms.
The whole deal.
Right.
Assessment is just, well, it's universal, isn't it? Part of learning.
Definitely.
But have you ever, really stopped to think about what the students themselves believe about all that testing?
Oh, it's a great question. Their perspective is often missing.
Exactly. So today we're taking a deep dive into this really fascinating news study that does just that. Our mission here is to explore what students actually think about classroom-based assessment, CBA processes,
Hmm.
specifically in Moroccan English as a foreign language high schools, EFL schools.
Okay.
What do they really think is going on?
And maybe we should quickly clarify what CBA, classroom-based assessment, actually
A
is.
good idea.
So it's not just about slapping a grade on something.
Right.
It's more of a continuous process. Teachers are collecting info, data on how learners are doing using lots of different techniques.
Okay, so different methods, not just exams.
Yeah, right. And the main goal is really to inform what comes next. Future decisions about their learning path. It's not just summing up what they achieved at the end.
Makes sense.
And the key thing here is that students are the main participants. So their views, they're absolutely crucial.
Got it. And our source for this deep dive, it's an original research paper, came out in the Journal of Educational Studies and Multidisciplinary Approaches, JESMA,
Okay.
by Mohammed El Zerk, published just this year, 2025. So yeah, get ready. We're going to unpack what 120 Moroccan EFL high school students really feel about assessment.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
So let's start with the why. Why do these student views actually matter so much?
Well, it seems that right from an early age, students build up these beliefs about assessment. It's based on how it's done, the teachers run it, and what they think their role is supposed to be.
Okay, so it starts early.
Yeah. And these views can become quite ingrained, fixed,
Yeah.
and they have this massive influence on motivation.
Ah, motivation, keyword.
Absolutely. Does the assessment make them focus on really learning this stuff? Or is it just about, getting the grade?
The classic distinction, learning orientation versus grade orientation.
Exactly. And if you connect this to common assessment practices, well, sometimes they push students towards just the grades.
How so? What kind of practices?
Things like loads of tests, maybe too much focus on just recalling facts, lower level skills.
Right, rote memorization.
Yeah, or using norm referenced criteria, that's where you're ranked against your classmates.
Instead of against your own progress.
Precisely, and just focusing on the final summative result, especially when you have high stakes exams looming.
Like university entrance exams or national tests.
Exactly. All those things can kind of teach students unintentionally that assessment is about judgment, maybe competition, not really about growth.
That's a really powerful point. The system itself can send the wrong signals. So what's the ideal then? What should CBA be aiming for?
Well, ideally, the paper talks about it becoming a learning culture.
A learning culture. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It means the assessment process itself should clearly communicate what the learning goals are. It should motivate everyone, teachers and students. And, crucially, empower students to take some ownership.
Ownership of their own learning.
Yeah, responsibility for their progress, their improvement,
Hmm.
moving way beyond just ranking or getting a certificate.
So it's about fostering that continuous learning loop.
That's the goal.
Okay, so let's bring it to this specific context here. Morocco. EFL classrooms. What does the study say about how CBA works there generally?
The research suggests it's often not that well understood. It's commonly seen more as an end in itself,
Meaning,
meaning it's mainly about getting grades. That's the primary perception.
rather than a tool for learning.
Exactly. Seen as the destination, not part of the journey, you could say.
Interesting.
And another key point the paper makes is that students, despite being right at the center of it all, they often get overlooked in the research when assessment changes are discussed.
Even though they're the main stakeholders.
Right. Their daily experience is most affected, but their voices aren't always heard.
Which makes this study even more important. So how did they go about listening? What was the method?
They used a cross-sectional survey design.
Okay, so like a snapshot in time.
Exactly. Data collected at one specific point. And they used online self-report questionnaires.
Makes sense for reaching students. And who exactly were these students? Give us the profile.
It was 120 Moroccan EFL high school students.
Okay.
About two-thirds, 65.6%, were female, and a third, 34.4%, male.
And their year levels.
Nearly half, 49.1%, were at what's called the Common Core level. Then about 25% each were in the first year and second year baccalaureate levels. Those are the final years.
Right.
Now, they did use convenience sampling.
Which means?
Well, it's practical. They surveyed students who were accessible. But it does mean we need to be a little careful about generalizing the findings to all Moroccan EFL students, especially because there were more common core students who might have slightly different experiences or English levels than the older ones.
A standard limitation, but good to keep in mind. And the questionnaire itself, how was it structured?
Pretty straightforward. Two main parts. Section 1 was just background info, gender, school level, that sort of thing.
Standard stuff.
Yeah. Section 2 had the core questions. First, a 10-item Likert scale.
The strongly agree to strongly disagree type.
Exactly, on different aspects of CBA processes. And second, a multiple-choice question specifically about how they view mistakes.
Ooh, that sounds interesting. Was the questionnaire reliable?
Yes, they reported a Cronbach's alpha of 0.87.
Which is quite high.
It is. It suggests the questions were consistent and measured what they intended to measure. Gives us confidence in the responses.
Okay, good. All right, now for the really juicy part. What did these students actually reveal? What did they say? This could challenge some assumptions.
It really could. So they found areas where students showed a strong tendency toward agreement. That means average score is above 3.5 on that 5-point scale.
Okay, where did they strongly agree?
Well, number 1, descriptive feedback. Huge agreement here, means score 3.92.
Wow, really high, so they want detailed comments.
Yes, information about their learning problems, but also, crucially, what they need to do to get better. Guidance.
Actionable feedback. Makes sense. What else?
Understanding the learning objectives before an assessment activity. 3.65. They want to know why they're doing it.
After purpose. Yeah, absolutely.
They also showed a preference for participating in various assessment activities. 3.58.
Light.
Like portfolios, presentations,
Yeah.
things other than just standard exams.
More variety. Interesting.
And finally, strong agreement on peer assessment, 3.52. They felt they learn better when they get suggestions and corrections from their classmates.
Learning from each other. That's fascinating. It paints a picture of students wanting assessment to be much more interactive and, well, useful for learning.
It really does.
Were there areas where the agreement was maybe a bit less strong but still positive?
Yes. They call that a slight tendency toward agreement, means scores above 3.3.
Okay, what fell into that category?
Self-assessment, 3.46. They generally agreed that correcting their own work helps them learn better.
Taking ownership again.
And interestingly, getting good grades, 3.39.
Ah, the grade motivation.
Yes, it's definitely there. They see it as a primary objective for participating in CBA. But maybe not the only objective. It's nuanced.
Right, it's important, but maybe not the whole story for them.
It seems that way. Also, slight agreement on group assessment activities, 3.35. Learning better together.
Collaboration.
And defining assessment criteria, 3.33. They see value in having a say in what makes a good answer.
Co-constructing the standards almost.
Sort of, yeah. Having input.
Okay, so strong agreement on feedback and variety, slight agreement on self-peer group work and grades. What about neutral views? You said sometimes neutrality speaks volumes.
Absolutely. And there were 2 points where the average score was exactly 3.00. Bang on neutral.
What were they?
First, whether English exams are more important than other activities like portfolios or projects.
They were neutral on that.
Completely neutral. Which really pushes back against the traditional view that the exam is everything, doesn't it?
It really does. Students aren't necessarily buying into that hierarchy.
Seems not. And the second neutral point is, I think, even more striking.
Okay.
They were neutral on whether they retain information for a long time after written exams.
Wait, neutral on long-term retention from exams?
Neutral. We'd score 3.00. They don't strongly agree or disagree that exams help them remember things long term.
Wow. That really challenges the whole foundation of using exams as the primary measure of deep learning, doesn't it?
It certainly raises big questions. If students themselves don't feel exams lead to lasting knowledge, what does that say about our reliance on them?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Definitely food for thought for educators. Okay, let's pivot slightly. You mentioned a question about mistakes. How did these students view errors? Was it negative?
This is one of the most positive findings, actually. Really compelling.
Oh, tell me more.
Get this. A huge majority, 76.9% of students, see mistakes as opportunities for learning.
Over 3/4.
Yeah. Compare that to only 14.2% who see them as just bad habits to avoid.
Okay.
And a tiny fraction, just 4.7%, view mistakes as a sign they lack intelligence.
That's incredible. So they overwhelmingly see mistakes as part of the learning process?
Exactly. It's a real growth mindset perspective, isn't it? Especially striking when you think how high-stakes environments can sometimes make students terrified of errors.
Absolutely. That's a very hopeful finding.
It really is.
Okay, so pulling all this together, the strong desire for feedback, variety, the neutrality on exams' importance and retention, the positive view of mistakes. What does this all mean? What are the implications, especially for a place like Morocco?
Well, what's really fascinating is how much the students' views actually line up with what good modern assessment design promotes.
They're kind of already on board with progressive ideas.
In many ways, yes. Their positive stance towards the CBA processes and their view on mistakes suggests they're actually quite receptive to more learning-focused assessment methods.
So the potential is there.
Huge potential, yeah. It suggests students might be ready for a shift, maybe even more ready than the system itself sometimes assumes.
Which raises that really important question then. How can educational systems actually use these insights? How do we leverage what students are telling us?
That's the core question the study tackles in its recommendations.
Okay, what do they suggest?
Two main things stand out. First, involve students more.
How?
Let them participate in choosing learning objectives, or at least understanding them deeply. Let them help specify what success looks like, the criteria. And definitely engage them more in self-directed things like portfolios, peer assessment, self-assessment.
Giving them more agency in the process.
Exactly. But, and this is the crucial second point, they need training.
Training for students.
Yes. Targeted training on how to use assessment criteria effectively, how to give good peer feedback, how to use the feedback they receive for their own learning.
So it's not just giving them the tools, but teaching them how to use them.
Precisely. That's what builds real autonomous learning habits and boosts their confidence, their self-efficacy.
Makes sense. And beyond the classroom level, what about wider implications?
Well, the study strongly suggests the Moroccan Ministry of National Education should look at revising policies.
To encourage these alternative assessments.
Yes, to actively integrate techniques beyond just traditional exams. It also points a finger at teacher training,
Pre-service training.
both pre-service and in-service, potentially. Future EFL teachers need solid knowledge and practical skills in using diverse CBA techniques and giving effective feedback. It needs to be a core part of their preparation.
Building capacity in the teaching force.
Definitely. And ultimately, the paper argues it requires a bit of a cultural shift.
Broader than just schools.
Yeah. All stakeholders, teachers, administrators, policymakers, even parents need to work together to move away from a purely exam-focused culture.
Towards one that genuinely values deep learning, understanding, and, well, learning from mistakes.
That's the bigger picture, yes.
So if we were to recap the main takeaway from this deep dive, it seems Moroccan EFL high school students have these surprisingly positive and quite nuanced views on assessment.
Yeah, it's definitely not just about grades.
Right. They see it less as just a final judgment, more as a potential tool for learning, for development, especially valuing that descriptive, actionable feedback and wanting more variety than just exams.
And not necessarily seeing exams as the be-all and end-all or even the best way to learn long-term.
That neutrality was really telling.
It was.
Okay, so here's a final thought to leave our listeners with, building on that amazing finding about mistakes.
Okay. Given that most of these students, over 75%, see mistakes fundamentally as opportunities to learn, how might that perspective, if we really embraced it, transform how we approach challenges, how we view errors and growth in our own lives, our work, way beyond the classroom? What if we all saw mistakes primarily as data for learning,